Lawmakers on Capitol Hill are preparing to vote on an immigration bill as the debate over family separations and security at the U.S.-Mexico border continues this morning.
We are hearing from the family of a Metro bus driver killed in a drunk driving crash this weekend. An update on the charges the driver is facing.
This is News 3 This Morning.
Good morning and welcome to News 3 This Morning. It's Wednesday, June 27th. We're getting a break for the weather office after a heck of a couple of days for you guys.
That's right. It's been busy. Yesterday kind of snuck up on me because it was my weekend. I was off. I was just trying to enjoy a good time, but sometimes you don't get days off when it comes to the weather. But that's all right. The storm's now calming down. It's getting foggier outside this morning, so as the sun comes up, a little bit more in the way of fog is what we are seeing out there. Temperatures are still in the mid 60s with those dew points that are still in the middle 60s as well. We'll watch our temperatures rise to the 70s throughout the morning. The rain is now moving out of here. There are a few lingering showers. You've got one lone shower just west of Sauk City and Sauk County there. That's even not a big deal. So all of the rain works its way on out of here today. We get sunshine that does return to the picture by tomorrow. Temperatures in the 60s now. That will make it all the way into the upper 70s to near 80 for those highs later on. That'll also come with some clearing skies. So as the low pressure system pulls on out of here, we should see at least some sunshine by about 8 o'clock or right around sunset this afternoon. Temperature or traffic-wise, rather, two T words there. Traffic continues to move smoothly this morning, so that's good news. Still a little bit damp on the Beltline, but no standing water on the roadway, so that's good news. Stoughton Road, always one of the first slowdowns that begins to show up, and sure enough, it is doing so. We zoom out all around Dane County. Still no major issues if you're coming in from pretty much any suburb, whether that's Sun Prairie, Wanakee, Cottage Grove, or Stoughton. It's going to take you about your normal time if you do leave right now. As we go later through the morning, we all know how that goes. We get more in the way of some traffic backups, but any side road that heads towards the Beltline, it looks good right now.
Take advantage of the weather today. Get out on Concerts on the Square because there is no end in sight today.
I looked at the forecast models and I cried just a little tear from all the heat that I was seeing. So it's going to be hot for a while.
Again, we are blaming you for bringing all of that from Texas.
You know, my brother brought it up from Charlotte, so that's what it is. That's what we'll call it.
Thanks, buddy.
Pass the blame.
I was about to say, just passing it along.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Chris.
My pleasure.
We start the news this morning in California, where overnight a federal judge ruled families separated at the U.S.-Mexico border must be reunited within the next 30 days.
This is the first hard deadline set for that process. CBS This Morning is going to have a lot more on that ruling coming up after 7. Meanwhile, the House is expected to vote today on an immigration bill that includes a long-term plan for keeping immigrant families together while adults go through the court process. The bill also includes about $25 billion for a security wall and a path to citizenship for the thousands of so-called dreamers who were brought to the country illegally as children. Republicans, though, are prepared for this bill to fail. They're working on another that would just address the issue of separating families at the border.
The president will fly into Milwaukee tonight ahead of the Foxconn groundbreaking tomorrow. His travel ban, meanwhile, is moving forward this morning after a ruling by the Supreme Court that it is, in fact, legal. The policy took effect in December and applies to 5 mostly Muslim countries, along with countries like North Korea and Venezuela. In the majority opinion, Chief Justice John Roberts said that this travel ban is squarely within the scope of presidential authority to protect national security. He also said that the policies do not discriminate against Muslims.
6:03 your time now. Police say a 22-year-old man is facing charges in the death of a 45-year-old Metro bus driver for driving under the influence and causing a crash this weekend. Deano McCullough was the father of one young boy, but his family says he acted like a father to many, including some of the passengers he drove on his bus every day, where he worked for 10 years. His nephew calls Deano a hero and his death a gut-wrenching loss for his family.
I never had my father in my life. My mom, she never had her father. His sisters, most of them never had their fathers, and it's such a tragedy because Deano was everyone's father figure. Like he was what you wanted to be.
Meanwhile, the suspect, 22-year-old Gavin Viam, is in jail this morning on homicide charges. He's accused of driving while under the influence. Police are still waiting on toxicology results to show if he was drinking or on drugs when that crash happened.
The Sun Prairie man who killed his mother using a sword will be back in court later today. 43-year-old Matthew Skalitsky is trying to get out of Mendota Mental Health after he was convicted for killing his mother in their home in 2015. The court did rule that he was mentally ill and sent him to Mendota instead of prison. However, he's allowed to petition for a release every 6 months, and last month a judge ruled to allow that process to move forward, provided that Skalitsky still continue his treatment. His motion hearing set for 2:30 this afternoon. We will be sure to keep you updated later today on channel3000.com.
Deputies in Iowa County are warning residents about a phone scam happening in the area. In a Facebook post, they said the call comes in with a caller ID that says it's an out-of-state county jail. The caller will then claim to have a family or a friend in custody and will ask you for bond to get them out. A reminder, you can use vinelink.com to see if someone you know is actually in custody. People who live and drive on Madison's west side can hear more about a construction project planned for a pretty major intersection there. The work on Gammon Road wouldn't start until 2020, but the city wants to hear more from the public first. The work would go from Seabold to Mineral Point Road, just off the Beltline. City engineers want to replace pavement, upgrade the streetlights, and build better bike paths around the Westtown Mall and Memorial High School area. There's a public meeting on that project tonight at the Lucier Center from 6 until 8.
6:06 right now. City traffic engineers say work on Judge Doyle Square and other road construction downtown will make a crowded drive maybe even worse this evening and afternoon.
Concerts on the square are back for the summer. Josh Spreiter is live outside the Capitol ahead of that event with more on the traffic and parking situation. Good morning, Josh.
Good morning. The concerts take place here on the King Street corner of Capitol Square, but this isn't the only area of downtown that's expected to be tied up tonight. Right now, city officials are also warning drivers to expect delays because of the several construction projects happening in other parts of downtown. That construction may affect the way you drive into downtown or even where you park. The city says the evening commute also has a major impact.
You have people leaving work around 5 to 6, in addition to the extra traffic for concerts on the square getting there at the same time. So it kind of leads to some travel delays around the Capitol Square with people trying to get into and out of the same parking ramps.
City traffic engineer Tom Moore's best advice is maybe holding off and coming down a bit later after 6 o'clock to avoid that afternoon rush. Now, the concert doesn't start until 7 o'clock, but you can start saving your spot here with blankets on the lawn at 3, and vendors start serving at 5 o'clock. Coming up in our next half hour, we'll have more on the exact streets you're going to want to avoid that major headache tonight, guys.
A word to the wise from someone who's gone to enough of these: just walk.
Just walk if you can.
Or bike.
Bike, raw walk. Yeah.
Very smart. All right, our Josh Spreiter reporting live today. Thanks, Josh.
6:07 right now, and I still have yet to bring in the bags of healthy snacks sitting in the trunk of my car.
Still.
I keep forgetting, but I can tell you that it was very easy to grab some extra items at the grocery store to make sure kids have plenty to eat over the summer. We'll talk with someone at Goodman Community Center after the break about the need for Hunger Heroes.
And the rain comes to an end today for the most part, but Chris is looking ahead to really hot temperatures and heat index numbers in the triple digits. Start mapping out your nearest pool. We're going to have your first alert forecast when News 3 This Morning returns.
Good morning. It's a cloudy morning here in south central Wisconsin, but the storms from yesterday are not here anymore. They're actually out of here. They're gone, but they did drop a lot of water in places. It all depended on where you found yourself to be yesterday. If you were in the western half of the city, you saw a ton of rain. The eastern half of the city, really not so much. So as you look at the past 24 hours, some places only picking up about a quarter inch of rainfall. Other places picking up more than 2 inches, upwards towards 3 inches of rainfall. Today, everyone should be dry. The regional low pressure responsible for the rain now moving on out of here. That's bringing rains towards western and central Michigan this morning. But for us, it shouldn't be an issue other than the lingering cloud cover and the lingering fog that we do have. A little bit of a hazy look out there this morning. Temperatures are in the mid-60s. We'll watch our temperatures pretty much stay in the mid-60s for all of us for a couple hours before they begin to rise into the 70s, especially by the time we get you towards lunchtime. That's when we'll see a high right around 70 degrees with some clouds trying to thin out. Those will really begin to thin out towards the early afternoon and early evening, late afternoon, early evening rather, with highs in the upper 70s to near 80 degrees. But that cloud cover likely going to keep us on the cooler side of things today. Then we'll see some clearing by the time we get you towards your Thursday morning. 3 alert days are in the forecast for the heat and the humidity. We're getting ready to sizzle and spice right on up as we get you towards the weekend. A region of high pressure over the eastern half of the country tapping into that tropical moisture that's going to be increasing the dew points towards your weekend. It will be hot and humid all over again. That's not the first time we've said that this summer. However, this could be one of the longer and more intense stretches. I wouldn't be surprised to see some heat advisories coming in towards the weekend. 88 for your high as we get you through tomorrow. Then by Friday, we could see highs in the mid and upper 90s. You factor in the humidity and what it's going to feel like is a lot warmer, potentially feeling like 106 degrees for those highs. Now this morning, 65 to 72, so it's not going to be anywhere nearly as hot. Will be mostly cloudy. I can't rule out the chance of a shower. By the time we get you towards this afternoon, we'll see your highs right around 78 degrees with some sun and some clouds mixing into the picture. 86 for your Thursday, 94 Friday, 92 on Saturday. That's when the alert days come back into the forecast, and we're going to keep those 80s around all the way through the 4th of July, along with a little bit of a sizzle as well. Now let's go to Josh Tim with your first alert traffic. Josh.
Yeah, good morning. Well, there is some fog reported to be hanging around the area this morning. Just a reminder to flip those headlights on when you head out on the roadways. But so far, things are moving all right on the Beltline. No major delays showing up quite yet. Checking out Dane County, a few brake lights popping up on Stoughton Road near the Beltline ramps. That's nothing unusual there. No problems at all downtown around the Capitol and UW campus. Volume not a concern, at least for another half hour or so. And other main routes heading into the city, they're moving along at the usual speeds with no crashes or delays. Your first alert traffic, I'm Josh Tim.
All right, Josh, thank you. And Chris, thank you so much. Your time right now, 6:14. Goodman Community Center sees 15% more families relying on the food pantry there in the summer months.
There are at least 300 families at Goodman alone who struggle to keep their kids fed while they're out of school. But we here at News 3 are teaming up with the center, and we're hoping you will too for our Hunger Heroes campaign. John Leica from the Goodman Center is joining us this morning to explain more about what this is. Good morning. Thanks so much for joining us.
Yes, thank you for having me.
What's the impetus behind this whole thing?
Hunger is actually a bigger problem in the summer months. It's easy to think about the need during the holidays and the need to give and support those families, but really they feel a lot more stress during the summertime. So we wanted to create this partnership so we could help those families.
John, do you find that when people hear that there's a food pantry at Goodman, I think people know Goodman for some of the other work that you guys do, amazing work over there, but do people even know that there's a food pantry over there and how you guys are feeling that need?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think people are familiar with our program. We get a lot of support from the community, which leads me to believe that they know it's there. And
Sure.
Our numbers are on the rise. Our food pantry, from 4 or 5 years ago, we were serving about 80 some families a week, and now we're 125 families a week. And in the summertime, like you said, the need increases even further. So people do know about us, and we're still trying to find more ways to reach more people.
Yeah, some volunteers I talked to about your food pantry said it's one of the best in the city, maybe in the county. But people really don't think of summer as that giving season we were talking about, right?
Right. Yep. It's easier to give when all your family's gathered for the holidays and you're trying to think of ways to give back to those less fortunate than you, and you're grateful for all you have. But in the summertime, everyone's busier. Everyone's going to events in the summer. You're coordinating more schedules because kids are out of school, planning vacations, camping trips. All those things cost more money. And for people who are already creative in stretching their budget, the summertime presents real challenges for those families.
So go ahead.
What's this Hunger Heroes campaign all about? What are we trying to do with it?
We're trying to make sure that extra stress that I just sort of explained in the summertime is not an issue for our kids. Our teachers will tell you that the parents, they can feel and see their parents' anxiety, worrying about what they're going to do over the weekend, how they're going to take care of everything this summer, and we want one less thing to worry about for them.
So what do you, brass tacks, what do we need here? What do you guys need? What are you asking for?
We need food and we need money. We need dry goods to make sure we have a solid base going home in each week's bag of groceries. And we need cash donations to cover the cost of the perishables that we're including as well.
Any specific types of food you guys are looking for?
Yep.
Anything like that?
You're going to test my memory here.
That's
Cereal,
okay. That's all right.
pasta sauce, peanut butter, jelly, fruit cups. A healthy snack like a granola bar, and then we're using financial gifts to purchase milk, eggs, bread, and fresh fruit.
Fantastic.
And we have a list of ways that you can help get involved. You can donate directly to Goodman Community Center or stop by Festival Foods or the Hy-Vee on East Wash to make a small donation. And tune in this Thursday to News 3 for our phone bank. That's going to run from 4 until 6:30. You can catch our live reports on how that's going during those newscasts.
I was telling Leah, I still have my bags of groceries in my trunk. I don't know why I keep forgetting them. I know. I just need to hand them to you before you leave or something. But it's so easy. You guys have made it so easy, so we appreciate that.
Thanks so much for waking up this morning and sharing all that information too.
Yep, thank you.
Absolutely. 6:18 right now, and Beloit Library staff say their guest reader today will be teaching kids a craft and a dance after sharing one of her favorite stories. We'll tell you why, though. Some parents were a little concerned with Cass Marie Domino and why the library says they're still having her come in and read.
And there's a chance for a spotty shower today, but the big weather story is the heat that's heading our way for the weekend. Chris is back with a look at your forecast next on News 3 This Morning.
Good morning. We continue to track a little bit of fog out there. Keep that in mind if you're going to be headed out, just to add a little bit of extra time and take it easy if you run into an area of some dense fog. Visibility in Madison about 2 miles, and it's starting to increase as we get the sun up this morning. That will eventually lift some of the fog. Here's a live look from our station camera. You see just how foggy it is, especially as you work your way back towards the west. Temperatures still remain in the mid-60s as long as we keep the fog and the cloud cover around. That's where temperatures are going to stay. But as the sun begins to rise, that fog lifts. We'll watch our temperatures rise into the 70s by the time we get you for lunchtime. The rain mainly out of here up near the Dells, especially north of the Dells. We do still have some lingering showers, but all of that moves out of here as we go through the day with that region of low pressure continuing to depart. We're mainly going to be stuck around some cloud cover. By the afternoon, some of that cloud cover should clear out for some peaks of sunshine in the late evening towards the end of those dinner time hours. You'll see highs today right around 78 degrees. Guys.
All right. Thanks, Chris. 6:22 your time now. It's not necessarily what's being read at Storytime inside the Beloit Public Library today, but who's doing the reading that's got some attention from parents in that community.
Yeah, Christina Lauria is following the conversation around Drag Queen Storytime, and she's in the news center this morning to share why the library is following through on its plans. Good morning, Christina.
Good morning, Leah and Danica. The Beloit Public Library says it believes that everyone in their community shares an appreciation for openness, acceptance, and the opportunity to educate their kids about people who are different from them. So the library is giving local parents and kids that opportunity today at a program, Drag Queen Storytime, scheduled for later this morning. In a release, a library spokesman adds they know that not everyone will like the programs they host. That's why they'll post signs around the library and have staff at the door to let parents know that it will be different story time than usual. Drag queen Cass Marie Domino will read 2 books, 10,000 Dresses and What's the Difference? Being Different is Amazing, as well as lead a craft and dance. Since this story time is geared towards younger kids, the Beloit Public Library is requiring parents to attend with their children. Drag Queen Storytime starts at 10 o'clock this morning.
Super interesting concept, one that we've seen at other libraries, as you mentioned, Christina, earlier on in the program here, but definitely worth a conversation.
Yes, last summer they had one right here in Madison.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Christina, thank you so much.
6:24 your time now. People here in Madison will break out their lawn chairs, their picnic baskets for the first concerts on the square today. We're going to tell you what you need to know if you're headed downtown.
Yeah, specifically the traffic there. And the National Weather Service will be out in Grant and Lafayette counties today, looking at the damage from at least one tornado yesterday. The news is back in the morning on News 3 this morning.
The National Weather Service will be taking a look at any damage from at least one tornado in southwestern Wisconsin, and they're going to try and determine if there were any more.
Aside from very wet grass, the weather today looks pretty perfect for concerts on the square, which means the traffic might be less than optimal.
This is News 3 This Morning.
Good morning and welcome back to the final half hour of News 3 This Morning, 6:28 on this Wednesday, June 27th. And we are expecting a little bit of a sigh of relief for the News 3 weather office today.
Yeah, for like 24 hours until it gets wild again. Chris Reese has your first alert forecast out on the weather patio. Enjoy the cool temperatures this morning. Coolish.
It is cool. Cool-ish. It's a little muggy out here as well with those dew points well into the 60s, but it feels a lot better than it will feel as we get you into the weekend. It is a sigh of relief today, a day to recoup after those storms yesterday. A little foggy this morning, especially as you look downtown at the Edgewater. You see it's just a little bit hazy, but the fog's starting to thin out as we go through the rest of the morning. Temperatures in the 60s, dew points in the 60s, and that's part of the reason it feels rather muggy as you step outside this morning, and that's also part of the reason for the fog. Your temperature, your dew point closer together, you have the greater potential to develop some fog, and that's exactly what we have seen this morning. As you work your way back towards the west, temperatures pretty much are in the upper 60s. Lone Rock at 68, Mineral Point also at 66 degrees, La Crosse at 69, Kenosha at 68. So we're starting to reach the upper 60s for a lot of folks out there. The rain showers, those are moving on out of the picture. We will not have to worry about those much longer, though I can't rule out the chance of a spotty shower as we go through the day. Most of us are just going to be cloudy. Temperatures will reach 70 degrees by lunchtime, upper 70s for your highs, right around 78 degrees. But by 8 o'clock, I do think we'll see some sunshine returning just in time for that sunset. But then the alert days come back into the picture, so enjoy today. By Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, it is going to be another steamy weekend in store. Traffic-wise, things continue to look good for the most part. Some brake lights showing up right around Stoughton Road. That's normal. They're usually the first ones to slow down. But downtown around the square looks good as of now. That'll be changing as we go through the rest of the morning per usual. Headed in pretty much anywhere, whether you're coming in from Janesville, Sauk City, or Sun Prairie, it's going to take you about your normal drive time this morning.
All right, thanks, Chris. We'll have more on that traffic around concerts on the square coming up in a bit. New this morning, Madison police are looking for suspects involved in 2 robberies overnight. The first happened around 11:30 last night at Demetral Park on the Far East Side. Police say a man with a knife went up to the victim, said he had a gun too, and demanded that he hand over everything he had. Police say the victim was cut at one point, but wasn't seriously hurt. The suspect only got away with a piece of clothing. The second robbery happened just after midnight on Ruskin Road, just off of Aberg Avenue in the Maple Woods area. One of the suspects tried to pay a delivery driver there with a counterfeit bill, and when the victim asked the man about it, 2 more people walked up to the delivery driver, one showing a gun, then stole cash and ran off. Officers are asking anyone with information on either of those incidents to contact police.
The National Weather Service and insurance companies will be out this morning looking at the damage caused by yesterday's severe weather. The serious storm started around 11:30 yesterday morning. Meteorologists were able to confirm 1 tornado in Lafayette County. This was near Argyle. Today, though, they will investigate other tornado reports north of Platteville and west of Cuba City. Now, the National Weather Service was able to already confirm that tornado in the Argyle area thanks to video like this one. This comes from Dustin King, a viewer of ours. We thank him for sending it in safely. You can see the tornado touching down in that area. It did cause some damage to property there.
And in Platteville, the Weather Service is working to confirm that the funnel lots of folks saw yesterday that you're looking at right now was actually a tornado. The fire department says it touched down around 11:30 yesterday morning. There are no injuries or damage reported as of this morning, but Platteville officials say sirens never went off since that funnel was spotted past city limits.
It is almost 6:32 right now, and people living in parts of Columbia, Dodge, and Marquette counties will officially have a new state representative later today. Republican John Plummer will be sworn in by Assembly Speaker Robin Vos at the Capitol this afternoon. Plummer beat out his Democratic opponent to win a special election earlier this month for the 42nd Assembly District. That seat has been vacant for months after Governor Walker appointed the former representative there, Keith Ripp, to a position with the state Agriculture Department. Plummer will have to run for that seat again in November's general election.
The Edgerton School District wants to raise property taxes to pay for improvements to its buildings and security. The Janesville Gazette reports the school board is considering a $40 million referendum for November's ballot. That money would help pay for parking and infrastructure repairs, as well as new, more secure school entrances. The proposal would raise property taxes about $90 a year on a $200,000 home. A recent survey found that half of Edgerton voters who didn't have kids in the district or a job with the district are still in favor of that referendum. The school board has to approve it by the end of August to get the referendum on the November ballot.
Okay, if your commute includes any roads around the Capitol Square, it will be more congested than usual this evening. The first Concerts on the Square of the season takes place tonight, so no one will be allowed to drive on the east side of the Capitol from 3 p.m. to midnight. That goes every Wednesday now for the next 5 weeks. Madison Metro buses are also going to be detoured from that area. It's in addition to a lot of the road closures already happening in the downtown area.
Exactly. Added to the list of those things, South Pinckney Street is closed between East Doty and East Wilson while work on the Judge Doyle Square continues there. And West Wilson is down to 1 lane for reconstruction through mid-July. There could still be orange cones to work around on West Washington as well. Josh Breiter is live downtown this morning with where you might find some roadblocks if you're headed to the square tonight. Good morning, Josh.
Good morning. The concerts on the square have really taken off in recent years, and organizers tell me they're expecting even more of a crowd this year. So right now, city officials are telling you to pack your patience starting tonight. They understand there is a lot going on down here right now, but that's why they're out ahead of it, telling you to plan ahead. The construction on various streets downtown will make it even trickier in finding your way around, and the road closures around the Capitol for the concert themselves will tie things up as well.
That slows down traffic a little bit. So it's kind of that whole combination of people leaving work, extra people coming for concerts, buses. It's just a lot of different things pushed into one area for Wednesday afternoons.
Buses follow the Capitol Loop detour every Wednesday from 3 p.m. through the end of service. Passengers may board 1 block off the square at special event stops. Again, the streets will close around 3 o'clock this afternoon and will be that way until midnight tonight. You can find all of this information right now on channel3000.com. And Lee and Danica, you may remember last year it was actually raining for the first day, and it looks like tonight's going to be a great event and great kickoff.
Yeah, maybe a little bit of wet behinds if that blanket gets a little wet from all the rain that we've been having.
Things could be worse.
Other than that, pretty good. All right, Josh Breiter reporting live from the Capitol. Thank you, Josh.
Ahead of tonight's concerts on the square, a city committee is taking a look at traffic issues during big events downtown. The Street Use Staff Commission is reviewing how traffic congestion and road closures went while large crowds were downtown for big events like Shake the Lake. Madison police say there were no significant incidents reported during that event last weekend. There are still a couple of other big events coming, though. Live on King Street shows and Madison night markets are scheduled for the rest of the summer. Well, 6:35 your time now. The House is expected to vote on immigration reform as soon as today as Wisconsin prepares for a presidential visit. We're going to have an update in the morning sprint.
Plus, much to my mom's dismay, the new flights out of Dane County Regional are not bound for Baltimore, but there will be new direct routes to warmer places this winter. We'll share where you'll be able to go nonstop when News 3 This Morning continues. Welcome back. 6:39 right now. We always ask you to share your morning with us, and Darlene shared this beautiful shot of, we think, a double rainbow. There's kind of a faded one in the background there. Not sure which storm this was after, but Darlene, great shot. Thank you so much for sharing. What does your morning look like? Take a picture and post it over on our Facebook, Twitter, Instagram page, whatever it is. Use the hashtag MyNews3Morning. And Leah and I have been picking our favorites every morning here on the program.
Love it.
So you can log on this morning to suncountry.com and book a late September flight to Florida if you would like. The airport announced the Minneapolis-based airline will start nonstop flights from Dane County Regional to both Tampa and Fort Myers. Those seasonal flights to Fort Myers will take off Mondays and Fridays. It starts on September 28th. Flights to Tampa will also operate twice a week, those on Wednesdays and Saturdays starting September 29th. Prices start at $74.
Farmers in the eastern part of the state have to limit the amount of manure they spread on their land because it's contaminating drinking water. Farms in 15 eastern Wisconsin counties will be banned from spreading manure in areas with less than 2 feet of soil. It's also banned near any water wells. The DNR tried making this a statewide rule after it found water problems in Kewaunee County, but pushback from the dairy industry delayed those rules. Now this change will take effect on July 1st. 6:40 your time now. The words humid and heat index come back into the forecast this week and stay around for a while, but not before a pretty nice day. Chris says get out and enjoy it because you'll want somewhere much cooler to spend your weekend. Your full forecast is coming up.
First, though, if you have a little kiddo turning 3 soon, please let us know so we can show their picture right here on News 3 This Morning. Welcome back. You were looking at a very cloudy look at the west side this morning from the WISC Skycam. These clouds are going to stick around for most of the day today. We'll check in with Chris, who's in for Hattie this morning, in just a moment. So there is some serious heat in the forecast at the end of the week. coming up starting tomorrow, but it might be tough to cool off. There is a number of beaches closed this morning. We're talking about Goodland County Park on Lake Wabeesa and Vilas on Lake Wingra. They're both shut down. Goodland County joins a list of other beaches that have had some blue-green algae bloom problems, though the others are cleared up today, so that's good news. The Vilas Vilas Beach is closed because of possible wastewater contamination after flooding last week. City officials will be keeping an eye on all of the beaches, monitoring all of them to decide when to open and close them.
With all this rain we've been having, the Better Business Bureau is warning people about scammers knocking on doors and offering to fix leaky roofs. In Milwaukee, 2 men claiming to be roofers got away with thousands of dollars. One of them distracted an elderly homeowner while the other snuck into his house and stole cash. The BBB says these scams peak in the summer. If it's not a leak or a flooding issue, experts say scammers will find your home's weak spot and claim they can fix it on the spot for a low price. The BBB suggests you always ask for identification and check the company's reputation at bbb.org. And Chris, that problem's not going away anytime soon. We've got the chance for storms coming up in the next couple of days.
That's right. Now, it's going to be far away from now. Before that, we have to go through the heat and the humidity. But, Leah, it has rained for the past several days, or several days of rain, rather, in the month of June. In fact, we went for a very long stretch without seeing 2 dry days in a row. Then we had 3 dry days in a row, and then, behold, we got a tornado. So apparently, we just want to keep those rain chances close together in the month of June. As we close out the month, I do think we'll see some dry days. So with the heat and the humidity coming into the picture, there's always at least a chance of some rainfall. Here's a live look right now. It is foggy, folks. So make sure you plan some extra time as you do head out this morning to deal with that fog, especially if you're coming in from those low-lying areas. Temperatures are in the 60s right now. Dew points also are in the mid-60s. You work your way back towards the west. This is where temperatures are at least a touch warmer. Monroe at 67. La Crosse over at 69 right now. Milwaukee's temperature 64 degrees. We will rise these temperatures as we go into the afternoon, but with the fog around, it's going to be a little bit hard to do. See, the thing is, the winds are not all that strong, but they are coming out of the north and west. This is now behind of the departing region of low pressure that is over Lake Michigan. Now, as that moves out, it's going to be taking a lot of those rain chances with it. So rain behind me, but as you look towards the west, those rain chances are pretty much non-existent. The greatest rain is with this region of low pressure that we still see circulating in towards western Michigan as of now. So as we go through the rest of our day, expect the cloud cover to stick around, but eventually that will thin out towards the afternoon and evening. Everyone getting in on some cloud cover. Temperatures will be in the 70s for highs, no matter whether you're in the south or the northern pinpoint cities. But my good friend, this dome of high pressure does make a comeback as we go into the weekend, tapping into that tropical moisture. That is going to mean the heat and the steam, along with the humidity, will be back in the picture by the time we get you towards Friday, really by the time we get you towards tomorrow. In fact, for Thursday, highs right around 88 degrees. Then by Friday, highs in the potentially mid to upper 90s. You factor in what it's going to feel like, and it will absolutely be gross, potentially feeling like triple digits, but we will watch this heat and sizzle linger around for quite some time as we go there. In fact, it's so hot that I just accidentally skipped past the 7-day because we just don't want to look at it. I'll make sure I get that to you guys in the morning sprint, but it's going to be hot as we go through the next 10 days. And in fact, it looks like it wants to linger around for a while.
We like to call that the find a pool forecast.
It is the find a pool forecast. In fact, in our pet walk photo that I'll also show, because I blew past that, there's a dog in a pool getting ready for this weekend. Exactly. It's very appropriate, so I'll be happy to show that.
All right. Thank you, Chris.
My pleasure.
The morning sprint's coming up next on News 3 This Morning. 6:51, time now for the morning sprint. Chris Reese has a cloudy, calm weather day before the serious heat moves back in. Christina Lauria is updating us on a story time program in Beloit that has some parents a bit concerned.
And Josh Spreiter is looking ahead to the construction around the first concerts on the square this season. But we start in California. President Trump is facing his first hard deadline to reunite families at the border this morning after a federal judge in that state ruled U.S. border authorities have to bring together separated families within the next 30 days. If children are younger than 5, they have to be reunited within 2 weeks. More than 2,000 kids have been separated from their parents in just the past few weeks under the so-called zero-tolerance policy. President Trump has since abandoned that approach at the border.
A bill that's expected to get a vote on the House floor today would end those separations at the border. That legislation would also allocate about $25 billion for a security wall and include a path to citizenship for the thousands of so-called dreamers who were brought here illegally as children. A number of Republicans, though, are prepared for this measure to fail, and they're working on another bill to at least address the issue of separating adults and children at the border.
Police say a 22-year-old man is facing homicide charges in the death of a Metro bus driver in a drunk driving crash early Saturday morning. Officials are waiting on toxicology results to show if Gavin VM was drinking or on drugs when the crash happened. 45-year-old Deano McCullough was a father not just to his own son, but his family says to the passengers he drove on his Metro route for the past decade.
A retired Beloit police officer accused of repeatedly sexually assaulting a teenage girl is scheduled to be back in Rock County Court today. 62-year-old Larry Woods worked for the Beloit Police Department until 2007. He had been working as a security guard for the school district and public library. A 14-year-old girl told detectives the two had at least 100 sexual encounters. Woods is currently out on a signature bond.
A 43-year-old Matthew Skalitsky is trying to get out of Mendota mental health after he was convicted for cutting off his mother's head at their Sun Prairie home back in 2015. The court ruled him mentally ill. He's allowed to petition for release every 6 months, and last month a judge ruled to allow that process to move forward, provided that Skalitsky still get treatment. His motion hearing is scheduled for 2:30 this afternoon.
We expect to learn more from Sun Prairie Police today as they continue to search for a bank robber. Employees at the Bank of Sun Prairie on Broadway Drive say a man wearing a mask came in yesterday afternoon and demanded money. Those employees did not see any gun or any other weapon, but the suspect was able to get away with cash.
And we've been tracking the showers and thunderstorms all night long. Now, most of that moving out of the area. Those rain chances will be coming down today. In fact, we'll see highs right around 78 degrees, 70 by the time we get you towards lunchtime. Those highs coming in the afternoon and evening. Clouds thinning out with sunshine returning by the time we get you towards your Thursday. But that's also the return of the heat and the humidity with 86 degrees your high. Alert days for the weekend with temperatures potentially in the mid and even upper 90s.
All right, thanks, Chris. The National Weather Service and insurance companies will be out this morning looking at the damage caused by yesterday's severe weather. Meteorologists were able to confirm one tornado in Lafayette County in Argyle. Today, they're going to investigate other tornado reports north of Platteville and west of Cuba City.
Dams in Dane County are officially open as far as they can be this morning as already high lake levels get higher with yesterday's storms. Lake Caganza and Lake Wabeesa are already above their 100-year levels. Lake Monona and Mendota are close to that depth. The city is providing free sandbag materials at several locations.
A summer storytime event happening today at the Beloit Public Library is causing quite the stir. Drag Queen Storytime will feature drag queen Cass Marie Domino reading the book's 10,000 Dresses and What's the Difference? Being Different is Amazing to kids. After receiving public backlash earlier this month, the library released a statement calling the concept not new. The Madison Public Library hosted a similar event last summer. Today's Storytime will happen at 10 o'clock this morning, and parents there are required to attend with their kids.
Christina, thank you. People living in parts of Columbia, Dodge, and Marquette counties will officially have a new state representative today. Republican John Plummer will be sworn in by Assembly Speaker Robin Vos at the Capitol this afternoon. Plummer beat out his Democratic opponent to win a special election earlier this month in the 42nd District. Plummer will have to run again for the seat, though, in November's general elections.
The Edgerton School District is asking to raise property taxes in that community to pay for improvements on its buildings and school security. The Janesville Gazette reports they're asking the board to put a $40 million referendum on the ballot in the fall that would go toward parking and building repairs and newer, more secure entrances. For the average homeowner, those improvements would cost an extra $90 per year in property taxes. That's for a $200,000 home. The school board has to approve that referendum by the end of August to get it on the November ballot.
Right now, city engineers are advising you to plan ahead if you're attending the concert on the square this evening. Every Wednesday afternoon over the next 6 weeks, the Capitol Square will be closed at 3 p.m. and remain that way until midnight. The closure pushes buses a block away from the Capitol, and with construction underway in other areas of downtown, your usual route may also be affected coming into downtown, especially where you park. So to avoid that traffic headache, officials say pack your patience tonight and figure out a plan beforehand. We've got a link with everything you need to know right now at channel3000.com.
All right, thanks, Josh. Josh, Tim has a look at your first alert traffic. Good morning, Josh.
Yeah, good morning. Still looking good on the Beltline, although the usual crowd is beginning to show up between Stoughton Road and West Broadway on the westbound side. I would look for delays there within the next 10 minutes or so. Inbound John Nolan, you're tapping the brakes at Rimrock and then again at Olin Avenue. That's going to add a few minutes heading toward the downtown Madison area. But other main routes heading into the city are moving along at the usual speeds right now with no major crashes or issues. For your first alert traffic, I'm Josh Tim.
Thanks, Josh.
And we are continuing to track the fog this morning, although the fog does begin to lift as we get further into the afternoon. Your day planner will keep the cloud cover around through early afternoon. Temperatures in the 70s by lunch, upper 70s for those highs by the time the sun sets. That is when we'll see more sunshine coming back into the picture. Upcoming alert days for the weekend. So here is your pet walk forecast. Jensen in Madison is getting ready for what to expect by the weekend.
Sounds like a lovely night to enjoy concerts on the square. Have a good morning.
Making plans that are weather dependent? Get an accurate 12-hour, even a 10-day forecast. Download the Channel 3000 First Alert Weather app and start planning.